Joining us today for the Western Plains Heifer Jackpot is Chase Markle. Chase is a Wyoming native and current doctoral student at the University of Wyoming, where he studies ruminant nutrition and disease physiology. He also owns and operates M Live Beef Genetics, a small seed stock operation that specializes in selling performance beef bulls and a select few show heifers in the Simmental, Red Angus, and Charolais breeds. He also sells semen for ST Genetics, among other firms, and offers arm service for AI, ET, and conventional flushing applications around Wyoming and Colorado. Thank you, Chase, for joining us today. In the ring now, we have for senior showmanship, Hayden Hubbard, Brianna Hollingsworth. Intermediates, Riley Vetter, Trigg Sedman, please report to the show ring, or ringside.
Well, a small but nice class of senior showmen to go ahead and get the Heifer Show started today. You know, obviously without a bunch of showmen in here, it doesn't take quite as long to maybe evaluate these young individuals. And because of that, the spotlight's on those two, so the little things matter just a little bit more when there's only two of them. But I think they both did a really, really good job. In these showmanships, I'm not a huge fan of questions. In my opinion, you know, this isn't a quiz bowl, it's a livestock show. So what I like to ask in pretty much every showmanship contest is the same question: is what do you like about your project, and what are some things that you can change? I think you can learn a lot about these showmen as far as what they understand about their projects with that question, and both of them answered that very, very well. When it comes down to it, there's one individual here who I feel like maybe had just a shot better ring awareness as far as giving themselves some more space, allowing for them to kind of walk their animal into the right position, get feet set, and do that without messing with them too much. But both of them did a really, really nice job. The young lady who's circling her heifer right now, she'll be your champion. Young man is reserved.
Entering the ring now, we have our intermediate showmen. We have Riley Vetter and Trigg Segman.
Well, another nice class of showmanship here. In another class of just two of them, and I recognize that that can be a little bit difficult from a showman standpoint. We got a pretty big ring to work with here, and two heifers doesn't fill it up very well, and I realize that that can present some challenges. But what I would implore you folks here to do with this show ring, and if there's only two entries, you showmen, I would use that to your advantage. You know, give yourself plenty of room off of that back fence. When you're pulling them into the profile over here, we don't necessarily need to have them all the way on this far end here. You can set yourself up kind of in the middle. That way, if your heifer gives you some trouble, she steps out of position, instead of needing to loop her around and kind of fight the gate and the fence over there, you can kind of just pull her forward and get her set up. So that's something to think about in the future. But I realize both of these heifers maybe didn't want to cooperate quite as well in terms of getting set up right away, and we had to circle them several times, but that's part of it. You know, and I think both of these individuals handled it really well. As far as the question that I asked, I thought they both gave really nice and respectable answers, so I appreciated that. When it comes down to it, I think it's just, for me, it's foot placement, and it's the ability to maybe leave that animal in a position that's good enough, instead of you know, trying to push and push and push and get that foot placement absolutely perfect, and then needing to adjust and circle them later on. But I think both of these individuals did a nice job. Heifers are fighting them a little bit, but the young man with the peach-colored heifer, he's going to go ahead and be your champion. Young lady with the black shirt, she's your reserve.
We have Trig Svedman in first place and Riley Vetter in second place. Coming in the ring next will be Braden Vetter. We have a single entry for junior showmanship. Also entering the ring is Dawson Sedman. Dawson is a peewee age group. We'll be running them together in the ring. We will be running a single class for the jackpot. So following showmanship, we'll need Brianna, Dawson, Riley, Hayden, Trig, and Braden back to the show ring.
final showmanship class here, and we've got a combined division, a junior and a peewee, and I think they're both doing a really, really nice job. I think both of these individuals could go and compete probably at any county fair in the state of Wyoming and do just fine, so I commend you for that. And two really different types of showmen, and what I really appreciate about that is they kind of match their personality or their showing strategy to their animal, and I think that's an extremely important skill that usually you don't develop until you're later on in your show career, so that's pretty impressive. Young lady on the left side, or on my left side here, she understands that her heifer is maybe just a little bit more receptive to that halter, maybe a little bit more chilled out, so when she goes to walk that heifer into position there, she gives the command, and that heifer just kind of sets up right where she wants her to, and they make a pretty good duo. On the other side, the young man, he was telling me that one thing that he would maybe want to change about that heifer is to make her just a shot tamer. But I think what he's doing, as far as how he set her up on this profile view here, he recognized that when he set that heifer up, or when he went to go give her the command to stop, that she might not stop right away. And he let her just kind of get it out and walk right into it. Took him a couple of extra steps, but I appreciate that he didn't fight her any more than he needed to, and the result is he got her set up pretty good. So both of these individuals, because they're single entries in their division, will be the champions in their respective division, but let's give them a round of applause. Really nice job.
Again, first place in junior is Braden Vetter, and first place for peewee is Dawson Sedman. Coming into the ring now, we have our entries for the single class. First entering the ring is Braden Vetter with a summer yearling heifer. We have Riley Vetter with a spring yearling heifer. Trigg Sedman with a summer yearling heifer. Hayden Hubbard with a spring yearling heifer. Brianna Hollingsworth with a junior yearling, and Dawson Sedman with a spring yearling. Laramie County Fair is sponsoring this jackpot with a sponsorship. The grand champion will receive $500, reserve champion will receive $250, and there will be additional payouts for the other placings.
Well, a nice class of heifers here, and just 6 of them today. And but I think the quality is here, and there's a lot of differences in terms of breed representation, a little bit of variance in age as well. But I think you can kind of come to a logical conclusion here as far as which one fits the bill for you. There's definitely some different kinds that fit some very different types of functions within the industry. Definitely some that are more consistent with what I would assume is the breed that they represent. So there is a little bit of variation here, and that can make it a little bit more tough as far as which direction should we go. And being that there is only one class and the champion comes out of this one, I feel like maybe just a little bit of extra time and analysis is due to these kids as far as picking the right one. I'm going to talk each one of these really quick individually, and then I'll go get you a champion in reserve. Young man here on the far left brings us a heifer that when he gets her set up right, she's got that presence, she's got that look and that attractiveness. You know, he mentioned in showmanship that he wishes she was a little bit tamer, but I think part of that actually plays to her advantage, because when she gets a little bit wound up and gets her head cranked up like that, she looks really, really good. I love that one from the silhouette. I turn to the 3/4 and get right behind that one. I'm just kind of wanting a little bit more. She gets outpowered today, just in terms of the shape of her rib, her base width, and things like that. But I think in terms of a functional, good skeleton, beautiful silhouetted heifer, I like that one quite a bit. The heifer, the young lady with the black shirt, brings us one that I think does a lot of things really, really good. She probably corrects that other heifer just in terms of having a little bit more stoutness and curvature to her upper rib, a little bit bolder and more dimensional through her forerib and into her heart. And then when that one gets set up correctly, I think that heifer kind of brings a really nice profile and silhouette to us. One that presents with some femininity in some of the qualities that she brings from the side. When that one gets into motion, she starts to become just a shot more problematic in terms of how she travels out here, especially in through her rear leg. We study her as she goes. She gets a little bit rigid in through her rear hock and pastern. Maybe doesn't have quite the right structure to her hip, so in motion, maybe her top line falls out just ever so slightly, but one that I think brings some really good qualities in terms of power, in terms of some pieces of look that I really, really like. Young man with the peach heifer, that's one that kind of stands out right away just in terms of her presentation, her condition, her look, and all of those things. And I like that quite a bit about her. But I think what's really impressive about that heifer is this young man gets her set up from the profile, and she brings us a really nice silhouette. And you know, maybe from the silhouette, you don't read the most femininity into that one, just in terms of being really refined in her feature. But the reason is, when you step off to the 3/4 and you get in front of her and get on top of her, that heifer is powerful. She's got all kinds of rib shape. She's got all kinds of dimension. She's got the right kind of muscle shape. She's got a lot of muscle, but it's not overwhelming in terms of making her look too terminal. She's got a really nice, soft, and smooth muscle shape, a lot of power, and then on top of that, the young man gets her in motion, and it's really impressive how flexible she is on her joint work. I like how that one reaches and pushes and plants on both sides of her skeleton. One that from the profile, again, sets up really nicely. There's some things in terms of angularity when she's standing still that I really like. If you study her shoulder and her knee really closely, you can maybe convince yourself that she's a little bit upright in that regard. And then you study her hip, and you maybe question, is she just a little bit shorter hipped? But when we get her in motion, that doesn't concern me as much. I think she's plenty functional. I really like her structure. So a very interesting heifer young man brings us there. Young man that's got the kind of the orange-colored shirt. This heifer, again, follows that peach heifer just in terms of power, in terms of mass, in terms of dimension. I really like that about her. We study her base width, and she just stomps everything in here in terms of how wide she sets them at the ground. And then that stays true all the way up into her rib cage, up, down her top, and all of those things. And then he sets her up from the profile, and I think there's a lot of good things in terms of balance that one brings. Everything on that heifer kind of looks like it fits together, and I appreciate that about her. I was having a discussion with that young man in the showmanship class, and he said, well, I bought her as a market heifer, but I decided to breed her. And I think that maybe describes this heifer really well, is, you know, she was probably bred to be a market heifer, just given her stoutness, given her look, and all of those things. And then, you know, you find some qualities of femininity, some functionality, and you decide, well, I better make that one a cow. I just question, does she have the right kind of femininity, the right kind of look, the right kind of refinement? Excuse me, to compete with a couple of these other heifers in here, but I really do appreciate that one, just in terms of power, dimension, mass, all of those things. Young lady's heifer that's next down the line is one that I think is really striking right away. And I went back and asked Brian, can I see the ages on these ones? And that kind of confirmed what I was thinking. This heifer's got a little bit of an age advantage on some of these other ones, and that does show as we have them out here, just in terms of her scale and size. But I think, we look at her, and in terms of having the right kind of shoulder shape, having the correct set and angle to her knee and lower joints, the looseness yet levelness of her spine, the length of her hip, the angularity of her rear leg, all of those things. I really like the skeleton of this heifer, and she does have the advantage of age, so with that comes just a shot more stoutness, a shot more condition, maybe just a shot more cowy and maternal look when compared to some of the younger heifers in here that maybe have a disadvantage from that regard, and I do like those things about her. I think when you realize her age and you study her compared to especially the two behind her, maybe you're wishing that she just had a shot more condition for the show ring, maybe just a shot more shape to the upper curvature to her rib, a little bit more depth through the center portion of her body, but that one is one that I really appreciate, just in terms of being so good structured, so good built. And, her advantages of just kind of having that cowy look from the side. I like that a lot about that heifer. Last heifer we're going to talk about today, young lady here on the far side. That's another heifer that right away hits you in terms of just having a little bit more substance, having a little bit more condition. We get on top of that heifer, and again, she spreads a pretty wide shape, similar to the two that I talked about before. A lot of shape to the center portion of her rib. That one's really attractive in terms of the depth and the drop through her center skeleton, and the depth back into her flank as well. And I like those things about her. We get that one in motion, and I do think that she travels relatively well, given the amount of dimension and shape and condition and all of those things on her. But on that note, as you study her move, she does seem like maybe she's laboring just a little bit, and to me it just appears that maybe that heifer is a little bit too far advanced in her condition for this stage in the game, maybe just pushing just a little bit extra, and that's making her kind of walk just a little bit lazy, doesn't have that same kind of cockiness and attractiveness as some of these other ones in here, but just a good, really functional, basic type of a heifer that's got a lot of good qualities and is going to go be a good cow. Some really good things about them. So, like I said, a lot of good heifers in front of me here, only 6. But kind of some representation of all different ages, all different breeds, all different shapes and sizes. I do like those things about them. So with that being said, I've got a couple in here that are my favorite. I'm going to go shake their hands, but before I do that, I'd just like to thank Brian and the Laramie County crew for having me out. I like to judge here in Wyoming quite a bit. I did grow up here, so it means a lot to me to come back and do some of these county fairs that I kind of grew up around, so I appreciate that. And I commend all the showmen that came out today. I recognize that the county fair doesn't really start until next week, so coming in kind of a weekend early and doing all of this stuff, I think is really commendable. So with that being said, let's give these young individuals a round of applause. I'll get you a champion in reserve.
Our champion heifer is Trigg Sedman. Reserve is Brianna Hollingsworth. In third place is Hayden Hubbard. Fourth place is Braden Vetter. Dawson Sedman in fifth place. And rounding out is Riley Vetter. Thank you all for staying and exhibiting this evening. For those of you that exhibited, if you will meet me up here at the announcer's booth, I will have some money for you. Once again, we'd like to thank Chase for coming over from Laramie to judge our jackpot today. We appreciate the time and talking through all of the classes very much. Thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause. I really do appreciate how you taught. I mean, it's small classes and everything, but even like the showmanship, that was awesome how you're like,
Oh yeah.
it was cool how you
Good job, young man. Nice project. Where did that heifer come from?
I raised it.
You raised it. Okay, cool. She